What's up guys, Jack here from Magpie and welcome to another video where we're going over Turnstile's latest album, Time and Space. If you haven't heard of this Baltimore outfit, then where have you been over the past couple of years? Their last album, Non-Stop Feeling, really burst onto the scene and it gained them a lot of popularity within the hardcore scene, the punk scene, and yeah, they've gone strength for strength from there. Off the back of their 2015 debut, they've toured the world, they've been signed to one of the most exciting rosters known to man in Roadrunner Records, and they've been creating some of the grooviest hardcore. This latest release, Time and Space, has really pushed my understanding of what Turnstile is as a hardcore skate punk band. There's so many 90s flavours thrown into the mix and it oozes this metallic hardcore sound, but with an alternative twist. It's melded together with these poppy influences that suits the groove down to a T, but they've also got this unique hardcore vocal style that Brendan Yates brings across, and it really puts a stamp on their music. And just as a side note, well-known electronic music artist Diplo had a hand in writing Right to Be, which is an absolute banger on a track, and you can really hear those sort of pop, sort of drum and bass, dubstep influences coming through with the build-ups and that kind of thing. The production quality has been tweaked, and you can hear that with some of the jazzy influences that are coming across on this. They've kind of brought in the sort of elevator music interlude kind of style, which yeah, it kind of works well. It kind of breaks up the hardcore nicely, and it doesn't make those riffs very repetitive. It kind of gives you a nice relaxing moment before it hits you in the face. And that core skate punk hardcore vibe is still there. There's a lot of bounce and a lot of energy behind it. You can imagine the band up on stage bouncing along to it, two-stepping, and Brendan Yates, as I said, screaming down that mic with that unique style that he has. And you can still hear those riffs coming through, even though there's those 90s influences, those grunge influences, with tracks like Generator, which really has the hardcore sound coming through very clearly, but unfortunately it's not there as we used to on the on Non-Stop Feeling or any of the previous releases. Songs like the album opener, The Real Thing, has those crunching riffs, but you can definitely hear that sound coming through, the alternative grunge sound that gives me more reason to compare to the likes of Milk Teeth, Super Heaven, Basement, bands that they have sort of a real connection to. You know, bands like Basement they've toured with quite a lot, and yeah, you can hear those influences coming through, rising through, and yeah, it's creating this more open and overall sound that's a lot more rounded than raw. The track Moon is a perfect example of this alt grunge vibe that they've got going on. You have an energetic riff, but then Franz Leons jumps in for a soulful performance. He's the bassist and he comes on for this track and knocks it out of the park. More Franz please in the future. Come Back for More has got me thinking more Smashing Pumpkins than Hatebreed, where you got the sort of the opener, the kind of shoegazy grunge vibe, before you hit with the energetic and frantic circle pit centric verses. As I alluded to there, my only complaint about this album is that it doesn't have the brutally heavy sort of breakdowns or the riffs that we're used to on Non-Stop Feeling. Instead, they've left that behind for a more rounded sound, a more alternative sound, but still have that high energy, that high tempo with the frantic verses. Brendan Yates coming in with a sort of signature vocal style that is not really heard these days, and it's a real throwback. The 25-minute whirlwind is over before you know it, and that is another complaint of mine. I wish it was just 10 minutes longer. Just, I don't know, I don't care what they would have done in that time. I sure would have found it interesting. I don't know if they ran out of ideas or whether they just wanted to keep it short, sweet, there for the ride, and then that's it, fuck you off. But then that's the thing, they've only got 25 minutes, and I would have just liked another 10 minutes. A 35-minute album would have done me very nicely. And then you can definitely draw comparisons to the Beastie Boys. That vocal style could maybe grind on some people. I know it turned some people away from the band, but I think it's a very signature style, and it suits their overall aesthetic very well in terms of that, keeping it raw and that sort of skate punk hardcore style. It's hard not to draw the Beastie Boys comparison, but I think the fun aspect that they bring to their music, I think it's rubbed off on Turnstile and definitely showcased on this album. The band could really go anywhere here in their next album. You hear that grunge element on there, and you just think they could go down that route with more Franz songs. You know, you think of bands like Turnover and Title Fight who really shifted their sound. Turnstile could easily do that and have a completely different band going on forward, or go completely punk, hardcore, all out in those directions, or have a poppy alternative style that really leans in on the hardcore riffs while having that punk style and having some nuanced guitar groove. Just like Time and Space has delivered on this album. Let us know what you think in the comments below if you listen to the album. I know I love this album. It's definitely an album of the year contender already for me. And if you haven't already...
Hold on a minute. Jack, what's that t-shirt, mate?
What, this old thing? Well, this is just the Salute the Magpie merchandise. You can find the link in the description below. And while you're checking the links in the description, make sure you leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe if you haven't already. I've been Jack and we'll see you next time.